Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, Funkhouser, have you ever heard of King's X? Do you know that band?
Yeah, well, absolutely. They're a big one
King's
from way
X,
back then.
Yeah. They were, I guess, late 80s, early 90s band. But they were huge. Well, not huge, but they were really, really sort of like successful in England. And I guess they never really caught on the same way in America they did overseas in places like England and Europe. But man, I loved them in middle school. And one of the things that I loved about King's X was the singing in that band. There were three guys, and they all sang constantly, harmonizing like you wouldn't believe, singing like absolute birds. But Doug Pinnick, their frontman, still has an absolutely incredible voice. If you've never heard King's X, Funkhouser, do you have maybe Over My Head?
Sure.
Let's listen to a little King's X. Yes. Plays a 12-string bass, which kind of fattens out the sound, bearing in mind that there's only three of them. Listen to this guy's voice. I mean, this guy, especially if you see him live, has such incredible command over his voice. It's big, it's powerful, it cuts through over the sound of the band, and he just sings his ever-loving ass off. Case in point, right? Can clearly hit those notes. But what was interesting was several years ago, the new lineup of Alice in Chains played a BuzzFest rock show that one of the stations I'm on in Houston was hosting. And Doug Pinnick from King's X lives in Houston, Texas a lot of the year. And he's an incredibly well-respected musician among, musicians especially. And so the guys in Alice in Chains thought, hey, Doug Pinnick lives in Houston. Why don't you come out and sing with us? And he sang Man in the Box with them. Play Man in the Box, Funkhouser. Not just a chorus.
Well, okay.
Now, Lane from Alice in Chains had a very impressive voice, too. But in terms of sheer singing ability, I kind of place Doug Pinnick of King's X. You can put King's X back on now, Funkhouser. Over Lane Staley. Like an absolutely incredible voice. See if you can pull up Summerland. Summerland's an amazing song. And so I see Doug Pinnick backstage. I'm like, hey, King's X guy, your music has meant an awful lot to me over the years. What you doing here? He's like, oh, man, Jerry and the guys from Alice in Chains thought it would be cool if I went out and sang with them. I was like, oh, this is going to be incredible. This is going to be amazing. And he gets up on stage and he goes for that big Alice in Chains chorus, which based on everything that you've heard him do and I've heard him do, you would think he would just absolutely knock out of the park. Couldn't quite manage it.
Oh.
Couldn't quite pull it off. Sounded out of breath, couldn't hit the notes, couldn't hold the notes the same way. And I was shocked because, this guy's listen to his voice. Soulful, clearly has no problems hitting those notes. Oh, I love this song so much, Funkhouser. I love this song so much. But the guy had an amazing, unique, and powerful voice, and probably technically a way better singer than Lane Staley of Alice in Chains. But singing that chorus in that way was not really his forte. Oh, listen to this. Beautiful. It's like the Beatles. And I suppose my point is, you would expect this guy to absolutely knock it out of the park. Technically a better singer than the guy that sang Man in the Box, probably. But he just wasn't him. It wasn't his forte. It wasn't what he did best. And for that reason, it fell a little flat. Which, came to mind when I opened up the TV ratings this morning and looked at how Megyn Kelly was doing.
Radio
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So like I was saying, a Buzz Fest. One of the radio stations I'm on in Houston, Texas, 94.5 The Buzz, Houston's rockin' alternative. Alice in Chains were playing. And guy from King's X, guy called Doug Pinnick, who's got an absolutely incredible voice, lives in Houston and was invited by the guys in Alice in Chains to get on stage with them and sing Man in the Box. And I kind of assumed that Doug Pinnick, being a superior vocalist, just in the world of vocalists, would knock it out of the park, have no problem. But he really kind of struggled singing that big old chorus to Man in the Box, which was surprising to me. And a good reminder that, well, everybody's kind of got their something. People excel at different things. And even though he might have technically been a better singer, whatever it took to belt Man in the Box out in front of a stadium full of 20,000 people, he didn't necessarily have it that night. I mean, it was really cool seeing him on stage and everybody loved it, but it kind of didn't hold up. And I was reminded of that this morning when I opened up the paper and saw what was going on with Megyn Kelly. You've been following this, Funkhouser?
No, what's happening?
It's not going well. And look, this is apropos of nothing, but I was just struck by it. I was struck by the fact that Megyn Kelly, apparently it's like the worst the Today Show has ever done, like ever. I think it was, and maybe ratings mean something to you, maybe they don't, but I think she had a 0.77, like not even a 1 share, and now it's down to a 0.54. Really, really bad. Possibly like an all-time low for the Today Show. And it kind of boggles my mind. Have you watched any of it, Funkhouser? Have you seen any of it?
No, I've heard a little of it, but I haven't watched it.
It's been I haven't watched it, but I kind of like
surprisingly nothing's trended online for me to see.
Well, yeah. I guess people aren't paying attention. I mean, there was that one thing where she had. I think the very first week she was on, she had the cast of Will and Grace on. And then she had some guy who was a Will and Grace super fan say that he was inspired by the character Will from Will and Grace. He was a gay guy, and he was inspired to become a lawyer by Will, the character of Will. And Megyn Kelly was like, "Oh, well, there you go. You were inspired to be gay by him." And he was like, yeah, and I watched some of it back. When I found out the ratings were as low as they were, I kind of took a look at some of the hallmarks of it not going so well, not so smoothly. And I saw that, and it was really kind of like embarrassing for everybody because she was like, "So Will from Will and Grace inspired you to be gay?" And he was like, "He inspired me to be a lawyer." And she said to him, like, "Well, I think, the gay thing is going to work out great." Like, those were the words that came out of her mouth. She was like, "The gay thing's going to work out great for you." And it's funny, she went to put her arm around this guy, and he was like, uncomfortable. It was really awkward. She also did that thing where she asked Jane Fonda about her plastic surgery. Like, "Hey, you look really great. What have you had done?" And Jane Fonda was like, do we really want to talk about that now? And Jane Fonda's been open about the things that she had done. And I think Megyn Kelly was kind of going for this angle, like, it'll be empowering for you to talk about getting Botox. And so people know that you're owning it and it's okay to nip and tuck and whatever you got to do. And it's cool to admit it. Or I don't know what her angle was, but she was going for something and it failed to land in somewhat spectacular style. And Jane Fonda was like, do we really, really want to talk about that now? But here's what I don't get, Funkhouser. When did you first become aware of Megyn Kelly?
Oh, it was a while ago.
Mm-hmm. And what was she doing at the time? Probably Fox News in it, right? And this is what boggles my freaking mind. I absolutely don't understand. Like, I was looking at what Megyn Kelly does and how much they pay her to do it, and how she said, like, oh, I'm not going to do politics. I think I'm done with politics for a while. And I don't know if she decided she was done with politics or her new employers decided she was done with politics when she left Fox News, but I don't get it whatsoever, because she is rumored to be getting paid something like $20 million a year to do what she's doing, which is lose spectacularly. And what I don't get is why would look, Megyn Kelly had a really good run at doing sort of like, I guess, biting, very right-wing leaning political journalism for the folks over at Fox News, which I don't watch. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch MSNBC. I look for as many facts as possible and as little editorializing as possible. I feel like I can draw my own conclusions based on facts, being the functional and rational person that I am, that thinks logically and has the ability to come to my own conclusion. I think that folks that watch MSNBC and Fox News and base their opinions on that are missing out on a little bit of fun. It's good to kind of draw your own sort of conclusion from events based on your ability to think critically. Why would you hire Megyn Kelly, who has been very successful doing what she's doing over at Fox News for a really long time? Like, I haven't seen too much of her. I don't tend to watch Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. I look for facts and facts only. I like to draw my own conclusions based on facts. I don't need some talking head editorializing and puffing out their chest and ramming their opinion down my throat. I being the evolved critical thinker that I am, which is not that rare of a quality, so I don't understand why people look to form their opinions based on Fox and CNN. But being the evolved critical thinker that I am, I find that I can draw my own conclusions based on the facts, and I feel that people that don't do that are missing out on a little bit of fun. But nevertheless, there's folks that enjoy that sort of thing, and, well, Megyn Kelly had a really, really, really good run at doing that stuff over at Fox, and it boggles my mind that they go, okay, all right, we're going to pay you. You're making $10 million at Fox. We are going to pluck you out of Fox News, and we're going to put you into the mainstream. But you know that thing that you're really good at? Don't do it. Do something else. We're going to pay you twice the money to do something we don't know if you're good at or not. What the hell are you thinking? It blows my ever-loving mind, and it shows me how little people with bazillions of dollars at their command know about what the hell they're doing in the entertainment business. It's a very weird thing. Like, did you hear about this scandal in New York City on the fan, Funkhouser, WFAN?
No, that's still a thing?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. You don't know about this?
No, All
right, so there was... Really? How could you be in radio and not know about this?
Well, I mean, how long? Are you talking about, like, current news?
No, this is
okay,
very,
then I
very
might,
recent.
oh, well, then I don't know. No, I've been out of touch. What happened?
So, Boomer and Carton, the big sports shows, the biggest sports shows in New York City. Well, Carton of Boomer and Carton was arrested for being involved in a Ponzi scheme. He had a really, really bad gambling problem, and he was taking people's money and saying, look, I think it was like a ticket scam. The idea was like, I can get half price tickets to sporting events. So give me $1 million. We're going to buy $1 million worth of tickets, turn around and flip them for $2 million. And he wasn't doing that at all. He was going to the casino and gambling their money away, and then borrowing more money, like really phenomenally large amounts of money off of other people. And it was, like I said, a Ponzi scheme, and all came crashing down around him. He was arrested. It was this whole big thing. And I think it was like a $6 million ticket scam, and just crazy stuff. But anyways, there's a lot of people that listen to this show that are really big Mets fans, and they've heard me talk about the Mets. And Boomer and Carton are no longer a thing because Carton got arrested. And when Carton got arrested, so many people that I guess listen to this show from New York or listen to The Fan in New York because they want to hear about what's going on with New York sports, hit me up and they're like, dude, you need to be the new Carton. Boomer needs a new sidekick. That should be you. We need a voice like yours in New York City. We need a real Mets fan. And I was like, no, no effing way. I couldn't do sports radio. But they're like, when you talk about the Mets, the subject just comes alive. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. No, here's the thing. I love the Mets, love them to pieces, and know literally everything there is to know about the Mets for the most part. And everybody assumes that means I'm a big sports fan. But I'm really not. I'm not even really a big baseball fan. I know about the Mets. I love the Mets. And I know about the team that they're playing at the time on the day. But beyond that, my knowledge of that sort of thing is unbelievably slim. And besides the fact that I'm absolutely locked up on my iHeartRadio contract and wouldn't have an option of trying to get that gig even if I wanted it. Well, I don't know. I literally grew up in England playing rugby. Didn't follow football. My school had a baseball team and a rugby team. So I don't know a thing about the Jets. I don't know a thing about the Giants. I really don't know. It's not my passion. It's not what I'm good at. And so people were just like, is that something you'd potentially be interested in? I was like, no, I do a really, really bad job at that. And I'm amazed Megyn Kelly went to NBC and said, I can do this thing that I've never done before. You're going to throw me in at the deep end under every single spotlight, illuminated to fail in front of, well, I was going to say millions, but apparently not that many people have been watching. But it's like, I don't get why she would go over there and do that. Nor do I understand why the folks over at NBC would ask her to do that. It's like, you ever watch Iron Chef, Funkhouser?
Oh, long time ago.
Long time ago. Well, hiring Megyn Kelly to go do sort of like cuddly interviews with the cast of Will and Grace over at NBC it's kind of like hiring, what was that guy's name? Who was the Iron Chef Japanese? He opened up a couple restaurants.
I don't remember.
Philadelphia. Iron Chef Morimoto. It was like hiring Iron Chef Morimoto. Iron Chef Japanese, one of the most celebrated sushi chefs in the world, and saying, okay, all right, we want you. You're clearly a commodity in the culinary world. We are going to give you twice what you were making before at your old restaurant, but here's the twist. We're going to have you make fried chicken and pizza. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's very bizarre and makes me wonder about this industry that we're in, Funkhouser. Because
money making, skills on the mic, can be paid every day, and for part of the battle, just bow down, better act like you know.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah, give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do
So, did you see this thing? Did you hear this thing, or do you see this thing that last week tonight put together on Megyn Kelly?
No.
If you just joined us, we were talking about the fact that Megyn Kelly's ratings, and it made me think. It made me think why people get put in this weird position so many times. Made me think that her ratings are at the very lowest they've ever been. Not only that, it's an all-time low for Today in general, which she's the host of. And as we were saying before, it's very, very odd to have this idea of, like, here you have a very successful political sort of like news reporter, somebody who likes to editorialize with a very strong right-wing leaning, and then put them on the Today Show with the cast of Will and Grace and expect her to act warm and cuddly and have it go well and be effective. Half the people watching that show are not necessarily fans. B, they're not becoming fans because of her somewhat ham-fisted delivery, as was illustrated perfectly by this. Have a listen to this.
In a world and a country that is incredibly divided right now, my hope is that this show can be a unifying force.
And now a look at the unifying force that is Megyn Kelly.
Gay rights are more and more protected and recognized in this country. Christian beliefs and Christian rights, not so much. This is about the attempted war on the religious right, not the war on women. And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white. Jesus was a white man, too. The decision to drop the now infamous voter intimidation case against members of the New Black Panther Party. New Black Panther Party. The New Black Panther case. New Black Panther Party. The New Black Panther Party out there saying we got to go kill some cracker babies. Kill us some cracker babies. Do you hate white people? Is President Obama playing the race card? And now people have made this into a race thing. Do black lives matter or do all lives matter? You want to take a shot at that? Last night's Democratic debate found 5 presidential contenders suggesting black lives may have more value than all lives. Are these just thugs? I'm thinking thugs is not far off the mark. Thug behavior, the thug mentality, and that's a controversial term, but, you know, that it's cool to sort of hate the cops and hang out and, you know, be somebody who doesn't necessarily prize being there for your family. Illegals, late-term abortions, voter fraud, the left-wing press, death panels, war on Christmas, Benghazi. Look at that moron. An idiot. Cupcake Nation alert. A culture of victimization in this country. If you watch those VMAs, I mean, you really have to wonder if in 25 years the new standard is they're just going to be openly having sexual intercourse on the stage. Why can't it be a day where we take a moment and we stop and we acknowledge the role that God has played in the formation of this country?
You get on TV every night and state what you believe to.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Well, I do. I state what
I know, because you're an opinion guy. I'm a journalist.
Beautifully put together by the folks over at Last Week Tonight. And I bring it up, I suppose, you might be wondering what this really has to do with anything, but I bring it up because, Funkhouser, what do you think the real Megyn Kelly actually thinks? Like, you're a media nerd. You follow all this sort of stuff. Like, whenever someone gets a new hosting gig, you know before they actually know they're getting a gig. Like, I bet you knew how big Megyn Kelly's contract was before it actually went down. Don't know how you do it, but you're absolutely tapped into this sort of thing. So what do you think? Who do you think the real Megyn Kelly is? Is she the cuddly Will and Grace person, or is she the Fox News right-wing sort of baiter?
I think she's an entertainer. So, you know, the things that she says on television, she doesn't take home with her, I believe. Do you think she's just having a little fun wherever it is she goes? I think she's got a lot of people in her ear and a lot of people writing for her. And you know, that's what makes her a journalist. That's why she thinks she's a journalist, is she's got a lot of, you know, journalism happening around her. But I don't think she takes it home with her.
It just kind of boggles my mind because, look, we spent a lot of time on this show talking about division and how to conquer it. It's a genuinely destructive force in America in this day and age. It really, truly is. And look, we've said it before, I'll say it again. Politicians and to just as much of an extent, the media prey on what I believe are the folks they think are the least informed and the weakest in society. And great way to do that is by going, hey, you lost out on something. You're missing something. Something has been taken from you. You're not living a happy, fulfilled, self-actualized life. All your hopes and dreams are not coming true. Because why? Because the other side took it from you. And that's why there's such good money in division. That's why there is such great political force in division. It's the lack of need to think critically that I think is sort of destroying us. So many people are happy to have their minds made up for them by the Megyn Kellys of this world. And on the left, whoever it is, Don Lemon, I don't know. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch MSNBC. It was just Megyn Kelly's ratings being so terrifically bad made me think a little bit more about this situation. So I don't know who the pundits are. I don't know who the talking heads are on the warring news networks. But it made me think, do they really Do they really honestly believe a single word that's coming out of their mouth, or are they getting paid phenomenal amounts of money so they're just like, run with it? Funkhouser, if someone told you to become a right-wing pundit and they're going to offer you $12 million to do it. That's what.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a problem in America today. There's a big problem. We need to stop it. How much money again? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. 100%. Like, it's such a phenomenally large amount of cash that you could see how people's will would crumble. I've never been offered a check. I've been told by a couple different people, hey, if the right wing doesn't really have anyone funny, and you kind of lean a little right sometimes, and you're a little left sometimes, and you mostly hang out in the middle, but if you could be like your usual amusing self and go hardcore right wing, then, man, the gravy train would roll in. And I was like, no, I could never do that. I could never sell myself out. I could never be part of what I consider to be the problem in this country, the division in this country. But I don't know. That's what I told them when they floated the idea out to me. And it was someone that was reasonably powerful in radio that suggested it to me. And I was like, nah, I couldn't do it. But if you attached a check to that for $12 million or whatever the hell ridiculous amount of money these Fox News types get paid, I don't know if my resolve would have been so steely as I was driving my 2002 car with a tape deck in it to and from work, my 3 different jobs. I don't know. I really don't know. I like to think I'd be principled. Funkhouser would sell out lickety-freaking split, apparently. But I suppose the point I'm trying to make is that there's so much control. There's so much control over our thoughts. There's so much control over our thoughts that these massive media companies have. And this is not limited to the left. This is not limited to the right. But it's almost like really, really buying a song, a piece of music, really, really feeling this song that someone sings, and then finding out that they had a ghostwriter do it. Finding out that this was a cover, finding out that this was not their song. They don't believe those words. They didn't live that experience. Do they have any right to be singing about it? The answer is probably not. So I guess what I'm doing, I guess what Megyn Kelly's ratings downfall prompted me to think about was thinking for yourself. Politicians and news media like people that don't think for themselves, and there's plenty of them, and that's how they manage to make bazillions of dollars off of them. But it will always come back to you. Think for yourself. It's easy. You don't need to run to, I suppose I'm talking myself out of a job here, Funkhouser. You don't need to run to your radio or your television set to decide how you feel about something. You know in your heart of hearts. You know where your moral compass's true north points. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. You don't need Facebook. You don't need Google. You don't need Fox. You don't need CNN. And you would think that would be an obvious thing. But it feels like we as Americans are being so easily played, so easily divided, so easily preyed upon, so easily separated. The old expression is divide and conquer. And I feel like we're being divided. And we're not conquered yet. But we're getting there. So bearing in mind, we've established, I think, kind of conclusive proof that folks like Megyn Kelly, whose every word a lot of people hang on, and folks like Don Lemon. He's a left-wing guy, right? Is that sort of like the CNN equivalent of what Megyn Kelly used to be? I really don't know these people because I'm not a big watcher of this sort of thing. Is that a fair comparison?
I think so.
These folks they're entertainers. They're having some fun. They're making a lot of money. They're in it for a paycheck. And we don't need them to tell us how we think. All right, Funkhouser, let's do a little news.
This is My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair and certainly not balanced. And now, super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser.
Yes. Yes. It's me. Oh.
Do you do Halloween? Do you have costumes and stuff? Are you thinking about that? Is that a thing?
No. I mean, I think
I have to go to one,
before.
and I have to come up with a unique costume, an original costume, and now it's just bothering me.
See, this is part of the reason I'm glad I don't really participate in Halloween, because that sounds like a pain in the ass. Like, now I have to go to this party. I have to think up a costume. Like, it's just not my bag.
Well, it's like I'm going with all my new film production friends, so I have to make a really good impression.
Oh, yeah,
so it's even added pressure.
Added pressure. I don't know. Like, when I moved to England, about 7 years old, Halloween was still viewed as this kind of like pagan thing. It was not cuddly. It was not about candy. It was not something for the kids. It was something that was the domain of witches and pagan, sort of satanic, vaguely sinister, ritualistic stuff. Like, people that thought they were druids would go hang out around Stonehenge and do weird things on Halloween in England. It wasn't this sort of like Hallmark version of the holiday that it's become here in America at the time. And when I moved to England, I remember I moved to England, I moved in the fall, and it was a bummer. I had to leave my dog behind. I had to leave my friends behind. It was like my fourth school that year. My parents moved around an awful lot. I was miserable. I mean, like, really, I had to leave my dog behind. Ugh, it was terrible. He went to my cousin's, torture. By the way. It was like torture. It was, honestly, I viewed it as torture. My parents thought it would be really unfair. I had this, my first dog, Wilfer, he was like this 85-pound puppy. He was an 85-pound Great Pyrenees puppy who I loved more than anything in the world. He was literally my best friend. And he, being a big, bouncy 85-pound puppy, my parents thought it would be unfair to keep him in quarantine for 6 months. And we were only supposed to live in England for the 2 years. So my dog went to live with my cousins, and he wound up being such a handful, like he actually wound up becoming a seeing eye dog, which was kind of cool. He was too much for them to handle, and they recognized that, and he became trained. He became a seeing eye dog, and that was kind of cool to know that had happened. But it was sheer torture having to leave my dog. And so I go to England, and I go, ugh, got this new, really difficult school. The teachers are really mean. I don't know any of the kids. This is not good times. Oh well, at least we moved in October, so it's fall, so I know I can count on a garbage bag full of free candy. And then I found out, what? You don't celebrate Halloween here? No candy? That's it. I'm out. And so ever since then, I've bitterly resented Halloween, and I don't participate. And your situation, Funkhouser, doesn't make it sound like any more fun.
The shining sun, you walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So you're stressing about your costume for this Halloween party you've got to go to, Funkhouser?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've never been in a group of people that make movies before. Now I have to make a good impression. Actually have to dress up for something. Last year I wore a Jack-in-the-Box head. That's like the easiest costume ever.
Do you still have the Jack-in-the-Box head?
I do, yeah. I can't do that. That's not original. It needs to be more original than that.
Did they know you went as Jack-in-the-Box last year? Were you friends with them then?
No. Well, I guess I could take that angle.
Yeah. You could always do what I do because, well, as we discussed earlier, I had Halloween ripped from me when I was just a little kid, and I've harbored a sense of bitterness and resentfulness toward Halloween ever since. Like, when I got to England, it was a really tough time for me. I was like this kid that had been moved like a bunch of different schools in 1 year. I had really bad ADD and attention deficit disorder, and I'm dyslexic, and none of these things have been diagnosed. So the teacher just called me slow and put me in the back of the class and told me I never really amount to anything. And I had to leave my dog behind. And my one little beacon of hope was the idea that Halloween was right around the corner. I was going to get bags of free candy. But at the time, Halloween was regarded as this horrible, sinister, vaguely pagan, satanic thing in England. So it was not the cuddly Hallmark version of the holiday, hence no trick-or-treating, no candy, and it sucked. And right around the time I was too old to trick-or-treat, England caught on. And we're just like, oh, I say, why don't you come over, get some free candy, don't you know? Sweeties, yes, you can come over, get some sweeties. And so I missed out on the whole trick-or-treating thing, and I've always been, like I said, resentful of Halloween. But you could try this, Funkhouser.
Oh.
You could go as, well, look, being in radio, I get asked to host a lot of different Halloween things. And around the time of Halloween, if you go out to like a club gig or if you go out anywhere people are gathered, the week before Halloween, everyone's going to be in costume. And I refuse to participate. It's just not my thing. I don't dress up. It's not a thing that I do. And everybody always goes, where's your costume? What did you go as? And this gives you the golden opportunity, the low-hanging piece of comedic fruit, the easy-to-open gag window, Funkhouser, of going, look closely. I'm dressed as a guy that's going to bang your mom after this. So you can always just do that.
You know, I don't think I can say those things. I
guess you're trying to make a good impression on your coworkers.
Yeah, that's the opposite.
You know what you don't want to do? It's amazing that a company even thought of this idea for a Halloween costume, let alone actually started manufacturing and selling it. Website called HalloweenCostumes.com got a lot of backlash over the weekend when they started selling, get this, and somebody thought this was a good idea and put money into it, and they went, yeah, that'll sell, that's good. Do you know what they started selling, Funkhouser?
It's just a big super Pink Floyd fan. Who?
No. You're talking about the person that made the wall costume?
Uh-huh.
No, I saw that. There's people that getting...
it's a different one? Oh, I thought you were teeing it up for us. Okay.
This website called HalloweenCostumes.com got a lot of backlash when they started selling an Anne Frank Halloween costume.
Oh, yeah. Not cool, dude.
Yeah, not cool, dude. Not cool. On the bright side, at least it wasn't sexy, Anne Frank. The costume is for girls, and it includes a long-sleeve blue dress, a brown shoulder bag, and a green beret. The kid who's modeling it isn't really selling the gravity of the costume. She's got this big smile, and she's striking a classic modeling pose. After people on social media started blasting HalloweenCostumes.com, a PR rep wrote that, quote, we sell costumes not only for Halloween, but for many other uses, such as school projects and plays. But whether that's true or not, they decided to pull the costumes off their website. Sorry, kids. I guess you're going to have to ask your parents for homemade Holocaust-related costumes this year. What the hell, man?
You know,
There's a picture here. This is...
What?
Oh, yeah, not cool. Not cool. It's just, yeah. So there you go, Funkhouser. You know what not to go as.
I lost my first girlfriend in like 6th grade because my mom made her a stuffed animal witch, and her parents made her break up with me because it was pagan or something.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
So we all have horrible Halloween stories.
My horrible Halloween stories is I tried to make my own Halloween costume once. I went as Robin Hood. Like one of the 2 Halloweens where I lived in America that I remember trick-or-treating, I went as Robin Hood. I had a cool little hat with a feather in it, bow and arrow. That was awesome.
Sounds awesome.
The next year, I decided to get creative. I was like, nope, making my own costume, Mom. And she was like, you are? What are you going as? I was like, a knight in shining armor. And she's like, and you're going to make this? I was like, yep, don't worry. I've got it all figured out. I covered a T-shirt in duct tape. And it didn't work well. Looked ridiculous.
See, I would have gone aluminum foil, but...
Yeah.
Still...
Well, try getting aluminum foil to stick to a T-shirt without the benefit of the duct tape. It's not going to work.
Oh, yeah.
It won't be a thing. Not going to happen. So...
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you want some real scary news?
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein has been expelled from the Motion Picture Academy.
Yep. Well, Bill Cosby, Bill O'Reilly, And Woody Allen all welcomed him with open arms into the creepy old man academy. So there's that. It's funny. I got an email from someone who was asking if we were covering Harvey Weinstein a lot. I was like, well, I don't know. Are we covering it a lot, Funkhouser? Or are we just covering
we
it?
did like a show on. We did an adequate amount of coverage. It's just going to sparkle and fade at this point. Why are they complaining about it?
No, not complaining at all. Just wondering how much attention we are paying to it. How much time do we have left in today's show?
We got a whole other one after this.
We got a whole other one? Because I wanted to talk about this Me Too hashtag that's been floating around the internet.
Four of my ex significant others in a row today, when I was scrolling through the Facebook, one after the other, 1, 2, 3, 4, they all said Me Too. And I thought, seems to be a trend happening.
Well, had any of them told you about their Me Too experience?
Well, no.
And for those that don't know, if for some reason you haven't seen it, if you manage to stay off the internet, which is always a good idea, but if you aren't aware, the hashtag Me Too is women sharing their stories of sexual harassment or assault or rape.
Women and men. But mostly,
women and men.
Mostly women.
Yeah. Funkhouser, you might feel as though, what the hell is going on? 4 of my ex-girlfriends pop up with these Me Too stories. But the very, very sad fact is that this sort of thing has happened to so many women, and so many women have never talked about it. And that, well, more on this later, but that's really, really sad.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So maybe we'll talk more about Harvey Weinstein a little later on, but what you said earlier, Funkhouser, is very, very interesting. We had to go to break, and I wanted to make sure we discussed it properly. You said you were surprised, right? Because 4 of your exes had Me Too stories pop up online. And
Yep.
For those that don't know, the hashtag Me Too is being used by people that have been victims of assault, sexual assault or sexual harassment or rape, things of that nature. People sharing their stories. And to be clear, 4 of your exes, you saw this on Facebook, and these were people that you were reasonably close with at one time or another, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're not talking about any of the long-term relationships. It's like, the in-betweeners.
Right. And they'd never told you about it.
Never.
Yeah. And you, before we went on the air, you brought this up and you're like, what's going on? Is this, is there something in my algorithm that's making this pop up over and over again in my Facebook feed with my ex-girlfriends? And the sad truth of it, Funkhouser, is this sort of thing is so commonplace. And not speaking about it, even to people that we're close with, is so commonplace. And I got to tell you, I've been really moved by the Me Too postings that I've seen. And, I really hope that this conversation that's been started by Harvey Weinstein and the fact that he's a disgusting pig and a predator and possibly a rapist, I hope that the conversation that's been started by all this has a positive outcome. I hope that there's a silver lining to this. And I think talking about it, making an effort to destigmatize talking about it, and we'll deal with all this a little later on in the show. It sounds like we've got time. But destigmatizing what it takes to talk about this is an incredibly important thing. And like I said, I hope the conversation that's happening now has a positive effect on making this type of behavior something that is done and dusted, or at least universally maligned and condemned, because people have been getting away with it for way too long. And women and men but in many cases, women, it's not something you should have to go through. All right, Funkhouser, let's get back into the news, but it's a fascinating one.
What do you say? Can open, worms everywhere.
Yeah, but you know what? It's the open can of worms that complicated conversation that people have been afraid to have or steered away from having because it seemed difficult or inconvenient or whatever reason that people decided not to have that conversation for. Well, like Funkhouser said, can open, worms everywhere, and I think that's a really good thing.
One by one, we're tackling all of the hard subjects publicly and socially.
Well, it's just like I think socially in America and all over the world too. It's not unique to America, and we can take some comfort in that. But all over the world, we are divided. I feel as though we are regressing to this weird kill or be killed animalistic state that has nothing to do with how people in a civilized society should live or how we should treat one another. This idea that if we're not winning, we're being beaten, that there's got to be a winner and loser in absolutely everything, and the other side is always wrong, and there's no room for any kind of compromise, any kind of hearing and respecting of other people's points of view. That is incredibly Cro-Magnon and knuckle-dragging and regressive to me. So, the silver lining, the fact that the whole conversation around sexual assault and Harvey Weinstein, and that feels like progress to me. Horrible way to make progress, but progress nevertheless, and I'll take it where I can get it at this point. What else?
On Saturday Night Live, Kellyanne Conway was portrayed as the clown from It.
Did you see that?
I did. It was good. I didn't see the movie, but I get it. Anderson Cooper was in there too. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I kind of feel as though I haven't seen the movie, and I feel as though there were some spoilers with the way the Kellyanne Conway version of It talked.
Don't add to the spoiler.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't spoil anything because I haven't seen it. But yeah, and it went very viral. It was all over the place. The clowns that were having problems getting work because the Stephen King movie came out, that's not going to help. That didn't make it any easier for them to get booked at a kid's party. What else?
Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner are engaged. Who's Sophie Turner?
I don't know. Don't know. But the blushing beauty immediately called the family to share the good news, and apparently this Sophie Turner woman was excited too.
I saw Joe Jonas in person once, and oh boy, the rumors seem to be true.
What are the rumors?
I don't swing that way, but he's cutie. Look at them all oogling him.
I got to be honest with you, Funkhouser. I don't really know who Joe Jonas is. I know he's one of the Jonas Brothers, but if you asked me to pick him out of I've
never seen a more swoon than Joe Jonas fan my whole life.
I couldn't pick Joe Jonas out of a lineup of people, and I definitely couldn't tell him apart from the other Jonas Brothers. Like, no idea. And you know what? I'm okay with that. It's fine by me. What else?
Larry Flint. He's offering $10 million to anyone who has dirt on Donald Trump that would lead to his impeachment. Up
Larry
to $10
Flint.
million. Up to.
Larry Flint, Hustler magazine founder and pioneer for free speech, offering $10 million to anyone who has dirt on Trump that has to lead to an impeachment, right?
Uh-huh.
It's probably tempting for Trump himself because he knows he could make a quick $10 million. You could put up another crappy condo complex with that.
Fine. Tito Jackson, the most popular of the Jacksons, turned 64 yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually knew that. I knew Tito Jackson turned 64.
You did?
But only because he told me himself while he was frothing my latte. And then I was like, hey, Tito, this place isn't going to assistant manage itself. Chop, chop.
I wrote a song once.
It was interesting because the week before he picked me up as my Uber driver. Go on.
Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers could be out for the season.
Yeah, worst news to hit Green Bay since McDonald's made the McRib a seasonal item as opposed to year-round again.
Hey, don't forget October 21st, Venison Day at Arby's.
Oh, yeah, Venison Day.
Coming up.
Oh, dear, venison sandwiches will be on the menu at every single Arby's across America. They've been trying it out in specific markets, and I think Wisconsin was one of them. I believe that was the case. And now they're sort of like doing Venison Day all across America.
Yes.
That's a good alternative protein source. And apparently, if you cook it right, it is delicious. It's funny, though, because a lot of people I know that grew up eating venison, I was like, what's it like? I'm totally going to Arby's to have a venison sandwich. What can I expect? They're like, it's okay. Like, no one I know who grew up eating deer meat seems that enthused about the whole thing. Like, really, chicken or steak is much.
It's like a bison burger. Have you ever had one of those?
Better.
It kind of tastes like
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I had bison
similar
burger.
reaction. I think I ate that.
Yeah. Good news is the venison sandwich probably going to be pretty cheap. Only cost you a couple of bucks, which is not a lot of dough. I wonder if the sandwich will be just as good the second day, the way the joke about it was. You have a comedy gem like that. You have a comedy gem like that. You don't use it all at once.
Well, we got to roll it over till the 21st. So keep that thing fresh, man. Put it under a red light, a heat lamp.
More news.
Yesterday on CNN, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson once again refused to address rumors that he called the president an effing moron.
Yeah, Rex Tillerson was accused of doing two different things. One, saying he was going to quit. Two, calling Donald Trump an effing moron.
I hope they keep asking him that.
They asked him. Well, no, but the thing is, they asked him, and he was like, I never said I was going to quit. I never said I was going to quit. What about calling Trump a moron? Oh, nice day, isn't it? Awfully clement weather we're having this time of year. Like, he refuses to say that he didn't call him an effing moron. And you know what that means, Funkhouser? That means there's tape of him somewhere calling President Trump an effing moron. Plus his I'm with the effing moron t-shirt. That's a dead giveaway.
All right, one more.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton is in talks to become a professor at Columbia University.
Yep, I saw that. As usual, though, Hillary is expected to lose the job to someone with absolutely no qualifications. Not to be confused with Bill Clinton, who was in talks with Columbia University co-eds just to hook up. Do the piece of news about the fish.
The man in England that tried to kiss a fish.
Yeah, do that one.
A man in England tried to kiss a fish, and it jumped down his throat and nearly killed him. Oh, no.
Don't let this deter you from kissing fish, though.
Uh-oh.
Only because statistically speaking, still a lot safer than kissing Usher. Fortunately for the man, the paramedics didn't flounder. And they were able to remove the fish without having to call a sturgeon.
I'm sorry, a what?
A sturgeon. This type of... Nothing's worse for a joke than having to explain it. Sturgeon is a type of fish, Funkhouser.
I just wanted to hear it again.
Yeah.
All right, you got like 2 minutes. You better wrap up the thing from before.
I thought we had a whole other segment.
We did that a long time ago. This is whole other segment.
Oh, jeez. Oh, gosh.
Can you do it in like a minute?
Well, I mean, look, there's more going on with Harvey Weinstein. Woody Allen gave his take on the Harvey situation, which was unbelievably creepy. He said, quote, "It's tragic for the poor women that were involved, but also sad for Harvey that his life is so messed up." On a related note, an actor called Griffin Newman says he deeply regrets taking part in Woody's upcoming movie because he believes he's guilty of molesting his adopted daughter, Dylan. So he's donating the money he made from the movie to RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. And you know Griffin as Arthur on Amazon's remake of The Tick, which, by the way, is awesome. Harvey's been booted from the Motion Picture Academy. London police are investigating allegations against Harvey from two women, one of them may have been British actress Lizette Anthony, who says Harvey raped her in the 80s. Angie Everhart said Harvey pleasured himself in front of her. Eva Green said that she once had to push him off, and Megyn Kelly is sorry she didn't speak up when Harvey hit on her a few years back. Quentin Tarantino released a statement through his friend Amber Tamblyn saying he's stunned and heartbroken about the Harvey Weinstein situation. He said he needs more time to process it before he speaks publicly. He's made all of his movies with the Weinsteins. Harvey has been reportedly telling people Oprah is offering to publicly support him. Oprah's team says that is not true. Look, this is in no way limited to Hollywood or the film industry. It happens in every town, every walk of life. Some of them professional, some not. I had a good friend who had something like this happen to them. She knew. She never came forward out of fear. Some of these people are inappropriate knuckle-dragging pigs. Others are genuine predators. The predators probably won't be able to stop because they're sick. But hopefully this will make the Cro-Magnons evolve and make it tougher for the people who are actually predators to get away with this. If you see something, say something. If someone speaks up, you support them.